blind man cross the road, trying to make the other side, baby. Ever seen a young girl growing old, trying to make herself a bride? So what becomes of you, my love?
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Pray that he's still out there, somewhere.
Well, shalom and welcome to the very first broadcast in 2023 on eating wild honey and locusts. We're so pleased to be with you today. So once again, a very warm welcome. And also the fact that we had to bring this program forward by a couple of hours. We normally in the UK start at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, which is 3 p.m. for you guys in America if you're Eastern Standard Time. But we started a collaboration with Zen Garcia from Sacred Word Publishing. And every intermittent month is going to be Zen Garcia and Dr. Stephen Pigeon. The consequent month is going to be Shane Knott, my husband. With Shane and Zen, they're kicking off today speaking on the secret covenant of the Illuminati. And it will be announced what Zen and Dr. P come together and do. What's great is that they can share the things that they have in common and really go for it and be a voice in these times, watchmen and ambassadors. And that's what exciting, that we are bringing together new audiences together. And we are fellowshipping, we are learning together as we reach others as well. And so that's what it's all about today. It's a sheer privilege to have Zen Garcia join us today, how he just unlocks the word, how he brings words, things from the Maccabees, from all the different hidden books and brings them to light. And it shows you how you can hold the word for this time, how you can put a jigsaw together of everything, how it makes sense of history and why certain verses on their own for all these years don't make sense. But then you begin to see the context in other books in other ways, you know, and it just brings the word more vital to you, making it more real to you, bringing the presence of the Ruach HaKodesh so strongly in your life that it's a new form of worship. And that's what it's all about. It's a privilege for Shane, my husband, and I to work with people like Dr. Stephen and Zen Garcia that can do this at this critical time where they are speaking up, blowing the trumpet, being the watchman in these hours and speaking against what the hireling shepherds are not speaking. And that's why we do what we do here today. So I want to bring on both Shane and Zen onto the platform here. So let's just bring Shane on first. Welcome, Shane. Great to have you here today.
Thank you.
And you're going to be kicking off and leading this. I just want to say for people who don't know, Shane and I, we've been in 40 years of ministry as itinerant preachers. And in that time, we've had a channel called Hollywood Classics Network, which TCM, Turner Classic Movies, filmed for. They had more bucks, and so they copied our idea. And really what we were doing is free films, free comedy, and in between something like Bilko, It's a Wonderful Life, because of the, you know, things like that, we would have dynamic biblical content, really expensive to do. And we financed that all ourselves. So we've been in this business of ministry via broadband, via TV for many, many years. And now without bringing in the television, the social aspect of it, it's pure word, pure Torah. And that's really important to us here. And let me bring Zen on to the screen also. Zen, before we get kicking in, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so pleased to have you with us.
It's my great honor to be here. And, you know, especially in the new year, new season and going forward, looking forward to working with you and to introducing some new concepts and ideas and maybe a better grasp of the bigger picture to your listening audience. So, and that seems to be my forte. So,
Absolutely. We're excited by that. Well, I'm going to hand over to both of you now, because today you're restricted for your time. You have an appointment just after the hour. So I want to give this time to you both, but we're really looking forward to this new collaboration of moving forward with you and doing these special broadcasts. And it can always be more than just once on a Monday, every consequent month. As the need arises, we go with how things are turning out in the world as well. So over to you, Shane.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, that was a nice beginning, and again, it's wonderful to have Zen here. It truly is. We said this last time we spoke to Zen only about a week or two ago, that he is one of the only few men. I mean, we can count them on one hand, maybe even 2 or 3 or 4 fingers. We can count these men who are standing up and sounding a shofar. We were talking just off air about blowing the shofar. We have things written down here, and Sen never knew what we had written down here. And he's talking about that there's impending danger, guys, and we have to sound the shofar. We have to do a blast of the trumpet very loudly. And I just thought, wow, isn't it just great to hear that? Because there's no one standing around the world, Sen, facing all the pain and the agony and the suffering that we all have to go through day after day. Speaking the truth. I heard Jesse say about the Highlands, and it is so wonderful to have Zen Garcia here with us to just warn us, to show us, to show us. We always go to the bottom line, guys. We always go straight. If you want to work out what is all this darkness all around us, just go to the bottom line and then work your way up. You just got to ask, who are they? How are they doing it? And what are they doing? And this is where Sen's an expert in. We've been listening to Sen for over 3 years, and he just exposes who the Babylonian worshippers are. I mean, you hear set names. Sen, we all hear set names all the time. We hear Illuminati, we hear Masons, we hear all these, and what they truly are, it's just a bloodlines. It's just a seed of the serpent. It's just the Babylonian worshippers, and it's such an honor to have you with us. Before, we always like to start with a couple of scriptures to start with. Sen, is there something you just like to say for a moment before I get into the scriptures?
Yeah, just really quickly. What you said about the war and the bloodline is so important, that people open themselves up to this possibility, because it is covered within the scriptures, the beginning Genesis, with the enmity between the seed of the woman, the seed of the serpent. It's spoken about in Matthew chapter 13, where Christ exposes the tares as the children of the enemy that snuck into the garden. And so these things are very important to understand, because it also shows you contemporary how those that are sitting on the thrones of the world today, they share a lineage, they share a selective, not only ideology, but strategic partnership and marriage, and that their evil is organized beyond what we can imagine. And unless you understand the war, the nature of the enemy, and the strategy that they're using, which we'll go into with the secret covenant, you just cannot fathom the kind of depravity, the kind of insanity that we're standing against, the kind of abomination that this bloodline incorporates even into their own upbringing, and their mentality of slaughter the innocents and being callous and having no concern in doing so.
Wonderful. That was so well said. It really was. I mean, that's going straight to who they are, what they're doing. And that's what we all must know. Again, guys, look, we see Pat D, and I only get the name Facebook user here. We've come on about 3 hours early. It's your input that really matters. We love to invite positive input. Now, only positive input into the live chat. And Jesse and I will try and read that and take your revelational knowledge, your information that you have on these bloodlines, on this warring seed that Zen talked about. So please don't stay quiet. We will never disagree with you in live chat. We're only here to lift up. If there's something that we may disagree with, we'll just keep silent and just move to the next one, and so on and so on. But don't take that as personal, okay? We cherish your input. It is about us. It's about all of us watching here. So we're going to show about a 4 to 6 minute video that some of you seen about 6 months ago. We're going to show that in a few moments. We're going to start with our scripture, Sen. And again, Jesse, that was so profoundly said, the opening statement that Sen just made to us, going straight to the bottom line. They are real, guys. They are a warring bloodline. They call us Goyim insects. We are nothing. Your family, your children, everyone you know is nothing to them. They do this left, right little role play. All the world is a stage and we are but merely actors in it. And they're the we. They call themselves them. They are the we. We are just merely players in it. All the world's a stage. It's one big Jesuit theatre is what we watch on every mainstream, you name the TV program. You heard Jess talking about the movie channel we own. It was tiresome, Sen. It was so tiresome trying to go through every movie, classic movies and movies into the 70s. I had to stop with movies into the 70s. You know, we had to view them. I had to view them and edit them and cut out all the filthy words or the filthy scenes that try to sneak in. This is the synagogue of Satan, guys. This is, they control everything we watch, everything we listen to, everything we see on TV, every cinema program. That's why every movie that our children are going to is Watchers, is Marvel, is DC. It's the fallen ones. It's the warring bloodlines that Sam was talking about. And I really don't know anyone more powerfully than Zen Garcia speaking about the warring bloodlines. He brings it back to a biblical perspective. And that's what it's about, biblical scriptures, a scripture perspective. And that's what it's about. Jeremiah 4, Sam and Jesse. Jeremiah chapter 4. I go straight to the bottom line first, and we'll come back and read 7, 8 verses very quickly. Jeremiah 4, verse 20. This is what we are to expect. This is what Zen is here for. Jess and I are here for, to sound the shofar of the impending danger, not of past history, not of something way off in the future, the impending danger. Jeremiah says in verse 20, destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly, all my tents spoiled and my curtains in a moment. It shall be destruction upon destruction. We shall never give you opinion or viewpoint or conjecture or what I believe or what Sam believes or Jesse believes. It will be scripture-based, prophetically books hidden from us, showing you what the last 7 years of mankind shall be like, or if these days were not shortened. Destruction upon destruction. Jeremiah 4 will start at verse 5. And I'll fly through these verses. Declare ye in Yehuda. That's what we're doing, guys. Declaring. Declare ye in Yehuda and publish in Jerusalem and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land. Cry, gather together and say, assemble yourselves and let us go into the defense city. They're assembling to go into a defense city. Not Christendom, not a denomination, not a church. They're assembling. They're not even assembling to go into the city. All the cities shall be spoiled. It's a defense city. A defense city. Verse 6, set up the standard towards Zion. Retire. Stay not. For I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. Whenever evil from the north came down to Yehuda, it was always Babylon. The Babylonian armies, saying nothing has changed. It was the Babylonian armies attacking all the nations and Yehuda, Judah. It was always the Babylonian army sweeping down from the north. And nothing has changed today. It is the Babylonian worshippers. Call them what you want. Call them what you want. Attacking all the nations and Yahuwah's chosen people today. Verse 7, the lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. That just makes my heart. Verse 7, the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. The fifth trumpet talks about Abaddon, destruction, Zen. The fifth trumpet talks about some angel of death coming up out of the bottomless pit called the Destroyer. Do you know his Greek name?
Polyon Abaddon.
Yeah. Apollyon in Greek, the Destroyer. Abaddon, destruction in Hebrew. The Destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. This is talking about the fifth trumpet coming up. This is talking about Apollyon, the Destroyer, coming up. He is gone forth from his place to make the land desolate, and the cities shall be laid waste. The cities shall be laid waste, not the defense city. Not the defense city. The cities shall be laid waste, without an inhabitant, no man. Verse 8, for this scourge you with sackcloth. Don't pray against it. Don't think that your prayers can stop it. This is what Yahuwah has ordained for the tribulation. This is what Yahuwah has ordained for the last period of this earth. Verse 8, for this, here's your instruction from the one in control. Yahuwah in control of all of this mess. Gird you with sackcloth, lament, and howl. For the fierce anger of Yahuwah is not turned back from us. Nothing's going to stop it. You got to know how to pray, who to pray for, who not to pray for, and what he wants you to pray for. Verse 8, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahuwah, that the heart of the king shall perish, and the heart of the princess perish, and the priests shall be astonished, and the prophets shall wander. That's church and state there, guys. Church and state is going to collapse and perish. The priests, the prophets, there's your church. The kings and the princes, there's your state. They're just going to be perished. It says it is written, it's carved in stone, that they shall perish, they shall collapse. Verse 11, at the time shall it be said to the people and to Jerusalem, a dry wind of the high places in the wilderness towards the daughter of my people, not to fan, nor to cleanse. Even full wind from those places shall come unto me. Now also will I give sentence against them. Yahuwah's given sentence against them. Who's he giving sentence to? The daughter of my people and all the nations. Come into a defense city, guys. Not a city, a defense city. Verse 13, behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariots, here's the destroyer, here's the lion coming out of the thicket, here's the destroyer sweeping down from the north, the Babylonian worshipping army. Behold, he shall come up as clouds, and his chariot shall be as a whirlwind. His horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. The spoiler send, the spoiler who spoils, the waster who wastes, the destroyer who destroys. All the prophets speak about it. Make ye mention to the nations, behold, publish against Jerusalem, that watchers come from a far country and give out their voices against the cities of Yehuda. Here, watchers means the besieging army sweeping down from the north. The Babylonian worshippers sweeping down, the besieging army. Verse 19, my bowels, here's Jeremiah crying out, I am pained at my very heart. My heart maketh noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because thou hast heard, oh my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. The whole city, verse 29, the whole city shall flee for the noise of the horsemen and the bowmen. Here's the besieging army. Here's the Babylonian worshippers that we all know, that we all watch, that lead every country, who smile at us and speak their double speak and say white when they mean black. They shall go into the thickets and climb up upon the rocks. Every city shall be forsaken, and not a man dwelleth therein. And not a man dwelleth therein. Jeremiah goes on to say that I searched the earth for a man just to hear his voice, but I could not find one. For it will be, guys, destruction upon destruction. And we're here, San and Jess and myself are here to sound the alarm, to blow the shofar of the impending danger. I remember getting a live chat sent about a month ago from Sherry Slammer. And Sherry was expressing to me about March the 23rd, 322, March the 22nd, the 3rd of the 22nd. What 322 is, guys, is not just a date in March. It is 2023 backwards. That's 322. 2023 is the year that they move forward. We're going to try and sound the alarm. Jesse, we're going to put on, Sam, we're going to put on a 4 to 6 minute video from the Pentagon. I want you guys to look at one thing, and then we're going to hand it over to Sen to interrupt anywhere you want to. Now, you need to turn this volume up a bit. This is the Pentagon War Room. This is, some of you people saw this 6 months ago. This is a concealed, hidden tape. Look at the year it was done, 2005. Look at the location numbers, the area numbers. You investigate, you research, and you listen like you've never listened before to see how they're gonna thin the herd. Jesse, would you play the Pentagon tape, please?
Okay.
Have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have 2 brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are 2 different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual light the right middle frontal gyrus shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In contrast, in marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
Do you think that I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? Aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
Wow, wow, wow. They use viruses, they provide the snake bite, and they get the snake bite in. This is what Matthew 24, I think it's verse 12 talks about. The love of many shall wax cold. It talks about the inequity of these people because of the inequity of their hearts, disregarding the Torah. The love of many shall wax cold. Now, you've heard me say it before. Do you think just the whole world, 8 billion people, are they just going to wake up one day and have their love wax cold, their love for their wife, their husband, their children, their love for their pets, their love for everything? Do you think that's just going to wax cold? Something gets inside the people of this earth and causes them to have a high level of inequity, sin, and the love, the empathy that you just heard about. The empathy at the front lobal system is now wax cold. Their love for their wife, their husband, their children, their love for Elohim, their love, everything they believed in, is just wax cold. This is what Matthew 24 verse 12 is talking about. Something gets inside the people. Sam, we're just going to quickly look. Jesse, have you got Kissinger's letter? You know, exactly, Stuart Birch puts up there, this is DARPA at the Pentagon. No, Kissinger's letter, Jesse.
Yeah. Hold on, I've got to go through the end.
About thinning the herd. DARPA in the Pentagon room. You had the location number up there. You had the date. That was 17 years ago. They planned way in advance. There we are. There we are, Jess, that white one. Zen, can you see that? Would you like to read this for us if you can? This is Kissinger.
Sure.
To a speech at the WHO Council of Eugenics, 2009.
Yes, once the herd accepts mandatory forcible, it's game over. They will accept anything, forcible blood or organ donation, for the greater good. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds, and you control the herd. Makers stand to make billions, and many of you in this room today are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for providing extermination services. Now, what's for lunch?
My goodness, Sam. Guys, this is not Mr. Garcia reading this or Jesse reading this. This is Henry Kissinger saying this in front of the people who will control this world for a long, long, long time. WHO, 2009. It's game over. Once we control the herd, it's game over. It's mandatory. It's forcible. They will accept anything that we enforce upon them. Forcible blood donations, forcible organ donations. It's always for the greater good, guys. Always for their greater good. We will control their minds, the sheep minds, the Goyan insects. We'll control their minds and control the herd. Snakebite makers stand to make billions, let's say trillions. And many of you in this room today are investors. It's a big win-win. Do you see how the people that we have been listening to, advising us, telling us what's here? Yahushua says, Matthew 24, see to it that no man deceives you. See to it. What's the first thing that happens throughout the tribulation? See to it that no man deceives you, guys. Yahushua says, see to it that no man deceives you. That's the first thing that happens. Deception. First seal. Deception. See to it that no man deceives you. We'll control their minds. We'll control the herd, the sheep herd. They're going insects. We're going to make billions, trillions. And all the ones invited in this room, you're going to gain. Let's go for it, guys. Let's go for it. 2009, they've had, what's that, 13 years. 13 years to get this going. And that's what we've been seeing. Yeah, that's right, Pat D. It sounds horrible, doesn't it?
Zen, can I ask you, sorry, Shane, can I ask you, as you take us into the secret code of the Illuminati, with what we were just watching, and it was talking about the frontal gene in the head, the gland.
Lobe, yeah.
Of the lobe. Often people will refute that and say, oh, this is new age, but we know that everything is counterfeit. Can you bring some context to refute that? Because you heard what they designed there was to take away religious fundamentalism. And we know the power of these things that they can do. There is not one thing that is not counterfeited with deception, with Hasatan trying to come and take over Father, Son, and Ruach, and so on. So could you just bring some context? Because I know this is a question that often comes up, and you're very specialized in this area.
Sure. When it comes to creating a data set in order to utilize that to bring forth a certain agenda or a certain procedure, they can make up anything that they want. In this case, they're simply monitoring and measuring what they see, or some kind of VMAT, whatever activity in the brain when somebody that is more religious, or which tells you that they are targeting Christians, patriots, those that are true, as far as that are supporters, constitutionalists, the real believers. That's the target of their agenda here. And this has gone back, even with the passing of the Patriot Act, how you are now guilty until proven innocent, when it used to be you were innocent until proven guilty. Everything's turned upside down. But without a doubt, the believers are the agenda and who they want to go after. And so in this case, which this is actually kind of brilliant, even though it is, definitely sinister, but they're measuring the brain activity of believers. They're seeing where the true believers, what is flaring off in their minds. And then they are targeting this particular activity, this particular lobe. And they're using this in order to place the focus on what they call extremists. But that's not the real case. We understand the real agenda. We are, we are the target of their whole focus. Believers, constitutionalists, patriots, true Christians, and so that is the whole ideology. And so whether there's any fact or any real truth to their technique and what they are doing, it doesn't matter. All they have to do is put together their data and these particular relationships, present it, and then on top of that, they're speaking about, a vaccine to quell and to compromise these particular people and to return them to normalcy, as they say. And so, because that is something that they've been doing for a very long time in targeting, certain populations, certain behaviors, certain peoples, they're weaponizing and have been for a very long time. Even the fact that they talked about the respiratory illnesses, and they're putting this stuff into that and into the mandated snake bites, you know, that people are
Mm-hmm.
the boosters and the things that they're getting to supposedly combat these illnesses, when we know that all they're doing is spreading it in this manner. And they tell us this in the secret covenant when we go into that. And so people have to really understand how they work. But this was, I really thank you for sharing this video, because I've never seen it before. And it, in that short space of time, shows you the mindset, and
Yeah.
shows you also how, because this is, you know, Pentagon level, high level, the military intelligence, those who run the covert operations that are working behind the scenes, that have the power to fund the programs that come out against populations and, you know, civilians, and supposed terrorism, um, and even, you know, going back to Operations Northwoods, where they were talking about using terrorism, inciting terrorism, and then blaming that terrorism on certain groups
Yeah.
as a recourse for the problem reaction solution, the Hegelian dialectic, to go after, you know, whoever they um, paint as the boogeyman, the jack in the box, whoever pops up, you know, they can make it whoever they want,
Yeah.
the boogeyman in the closet. Um, and then they were talking about even, you know, blowing up Neil Armstrong in the Apollo missions, and Cuban fundamentalists, and so that they could have a pretext to go in and invade Cuba. And nobody would have even imagined that they would deliberate such things. And this document coming forth, it's just one of many, you know, over time now, that shows us without a doubt the governments are involved in false flag scenarios, and that they are using government sponsored terror as a ruse in order to drive the New World Order agenda, and to set about, as Kissinger here says, in calling the masses, in starting wars of terror and terrorism on innocent populations, to gain access to whatever the focus may be. And I've been talking about how really the ancient technologies that are now being discovered worldwide, that has been a supernatural focus of these particular people for a very long time. And that was the purpose and reason even of going into Iraq and Afghanistan, and now Russia. They're in the Crimea, where, you know, recently the most ancient pyramids have been discovered, and numerous ones and unexplored, and Gilgamesh's tomb being discovered
Mm-hmm.
um, there in Iraq before the so-called invasion. But anyway, so there's always a covert agenda. Even with World War II, you go back to the invasion of Austria, and how Hitler was set upon getting the Spear of Destiny. There are occultic, supernatural, ulterior motives that we don't understand, that are not put into the public eye, and that the elite value. And they put these things together, as the Georgia Guidestone says, for not only controlling, but also reducing, culling the population, so that they can have just enough to be a servant class. And we're also, they're laughing at the profits that they're making
Mm-hmm.
on people paying for their own destruction.
Yeah.
And so, looking at the secret covenant, this is exactly what is revealed within it. And it's so important that people read and understand this agenda as well, because like this, it will open your eyes to what's really going on behind the scenes, and how, you know, everything's hidden in plain sight. But unless you understand um, and are able to make sense of the bigger picture of how these things connect together, then it just doesn't make sense to you. And you're, and those that especially trust government and trust their doctors and trust the these powers that be.
Yeah.
You're in a dangerous situation because you're being targeted and your life is in danger as well as your family's. And unless you know uh, strategically what is really going on, then you will get in line and actually pay for your own destruction. And that's insanity if insanity ever existed.
Wow. Well. Guys, what are we going to do? We're going to just go back after this and just watch Days of Our Lives. I mean, this is why we invite Zen here.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he goes straight to the bottom line. He spits it in our face. He's showing you how, when, and why they're doing it, thinning the herd through the snakebite, through the war, through both the methods. What are we going to do? We're going to go back to life as normal, or we're going to take and heed this information, heed the warning of the impending danger that Zen is trying to tell us. I mean, he has a way of expressing things better than virtually only one or two other men I've ever heard say it. You've got to carve this on your heart. I say to Jesse all the time, Jesse, you don't have to memorize scriptures. You've got to carve them on your heart. You've got to know what's going to happen throughout the last 7 years of mankind. You got to know who's doing it, why, who's in control, who's he going to protect under the shadow of the wings of the Almighty. San Andrea puts up there perfectly, Jesse. Don't stop putting live chat up there, Jess. There's some profound live chat up here. Yeah, Pat D. Heeding in Iowa. Exactly. Thinning the herd in Iowa. Sanadara says, Skull and Bones, Bilderbergers. We're reading Kissinger's letter. That's exactly who Kissinger is. He sits at the Bilderberger Hotel. Okay, they select every world leader. Not one of your world leaders is elected, guys. They are selected. They're selected by Kissinger, Rothschild, and co. at the Bilderberg meeting. And that's what all this is. 322, Skull and Bones that's on there, put up there, is exactly 2023 backwards. That's what they belong to, the people in power, the people in authority, the people that the herd is listening to. The herd is going to be thinned out. Sam, would you take us into, if you got your, look, we want to say, we got to say the same things. We do not make merchandise of yarn anyway here, but this book will save your eternity. It's an ebook available, Sacred Writing.
Sacred Publishing. You got me confused.
Sacred Word Publishing.
Yeah, Sacred Word Publishing.
That's right. Sacredwordpublishing.com, an ebook, The Secret Covenant of the Illuminati. You got to know who they are, what they're doing, and more importantly, guys, when they're doing. If I hear one more hiding say, that's for a future generation. We're living in the end times for a future. Go away, Hirelings, go away. Send. If you've got your book open, just take us anywhere, any random page you want to.
Sure. Now, I think it's important to start with the beginning, but before I do so, I just want to read the two of the top 10 inscriptions on the Georgia Guidestones that were recently destroyed. Maintain humanity under 500,000 in perpetual balance with nature and guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. And so, that goes right along with what Kissinger was speaking about. But the secret covenant, we'll just start from the beginning and read through a little bit to give people an idea, because this is so very important. If you've never heard of it, you can find it. Just do a Google word search or whatever your favorite. I don't like to support Google myself, but DuckDuckGo, whatever keyword search, or there's others out there. But anyways, it says, an illusion, it will be so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time, so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy.
Mm,
Death will come to he who speaks.
mm,
We will keep their lifespan short, their minds weak, while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air, and they will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. And from all this, their children will be born dead. And we will conceal this information. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, in
Mhm.
what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products being used in film and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them it's for their help. We will start early on when their minds are young, and we will target their children with what children love most: sweet things. And when their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will
mm,
kill their mind and steal their future. And when their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicine that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak before us by our power. They will grow depressed, slow, and obese. And when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. I'll stop there and give you a chance to comment because,
wow, wow, wow.
all this is so very critical. And it shows you again how even the things, the side effects and the things that the illnesses that they're creating, even with this Pentagon is talking about, with this COVID C-19 and other things, the boosters and the inoculations that are supposed to help you, they are in
Yeah.
mind, stealing our future, causing more disease, more illness, and more, because we don't even know how the results of those things that people have already gotten in line and taken, how that's going to play out. But there's going to be repercussions for their actions.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow. What do you say, Sen, after that? You just can't. That first one or
It's
two
mind blowing.
pages, yeah, isn't it? It,
Yeah.
it covers the whole sphere of what they
Yeah.
have done, what they are doing, who they are, why they're doing it.
Mm.
Okay. Guys, in this country, in the UK, New Year's Day, there's a famous thing called "Let's go out for a New Year's Day walk." How can you just go out for a New Year's Day walk after hearing things like this about the end of humanity, as Sen brought forward the Georgia Guidestones, to genocide, the number one command, their top command, the thing they want to do most, genocide 8 billion, leave 500 million as our slaves, excuse me for saying it, to work our fields and as our sex slaves. That's why 500 million are left.
Yeah. Mm.
Yes.
In perpetual balance with nature, you hear me say it all the time, Gaia, Gaia. It's who they worship. Who are they? The Babylonian worshippers. They worship nature, Gaia, Mother Earth, Sophia, Columbia, the Statue of Liberty. It's all Diana.
Yeah.
All the same. It's all the same. It's all that same.
And you know, it shows you a very small comment how long this has been going on, because mercury poisoning, I've seen Stuart's put something here as well, but that's been as long as I've been alive. So from the 70s, and it's talking about we should put poisons little by little, drop by drop. And what's happening now with the people who have got mercury in their mouths, in their teeth?
Right.
Stuart has put here albumin mercury poisoning, one of the causes of dementia, heavy metal poisoning. So this is how long it's gone on for. That's what I wanted to draw out. This is 70s, probably earlier than that. Everything that you and Zen are presenting here.
That's right. As we know, it's fallen angel technology. Look, Zen hasn't got much time left. He needs to take off after 1 hour, which is only about 10 minutes left. He has a vital, important meeting he's got to attend, so we don't want to rob it from him. But Zen, you covered so much there that Jesse pulled out. You pulled out a very profound thing, Jesse. Drop by drop. It's their method. Drop by drop. They're not going to turn the tap on full force, guys. Yeah. It's not going to gush out. World War III, bam! It's not going to be like that. It's going to be drop by drop, so that they, who are they, the Goyim insects, they do not see us coming. That's how they do it. That's how they will always do it. Drop by drop by drop by drop by drop is how they do it. One drop at a time is their method. We're going to keep their lifespan short. Pharmakia. Revelation 18:23 saying, for by their sorceries, pharmakia, all the nations were deceived. All the nations were not deceived by war. They weren't deceived by economic collapse. They weren't deceived by political uprising. They were deceived by one method and one method only. Pharmakia, all the pharmakia, the snakebite, the VMAT2, the MMR, call it what you want to. Layer after layer after layer of fallen angel DNA inside the snakebite, for the love wax cold inside the herd, thinning the herd, for by that one method only all the nations were deceived. Pharmakia, that's how they're going to do it. That's what they're doing. That's what they have done. One last thing, soft metals, chemtrails, nanoparticles, soft metals, it will destroy their minds. Just want to quickly read something, Sam, for 30 seconds. This is from them, 2011. We just read Kissinger 2009. This is from them to all their warring bloodline companies, the rulers of the world, Walton, Walmart, and Co., the 13 families that rule the world, and those Council 300 and the hidden 13, and so on and so on. This is the order from them to the bloodlines, from them to the families that control the economic prosperity of this world. Nanoparticles ordered inside products. 2011, they received a letter from them saying that Nestlé's is to put 10.2% more nanoparticles inside their products. Nestlé's, Pepsi, 10%. Evian, 6.4% more nanoparticles in your bottled water. Seattle Municipal Water, 2.4% increase in nanoparticle in your tap water. Chicago Municipal Water, 2.2% more nanoparticles. Nabisco, 6.2% more nanoparticles inside your products. I heard Sen read that. Feed us poison. They hide it. Feed us poison. Feed us. This is how they do it. They take the instructions from them, and the families that rule the earth carry out these instructions. Now, this was shared with me that they more than increased these numbers of percentages inside their water and food to all of the herd. You got to watch what you buy. You got to watch what you put in your mouth. You got to never buy 2 for 1 at the front door. Sam, please take it over, mate, before you have to go.
Yeah, and I would also encourage, if you can, after I'm gone, to continue through these this covenant, because it won't take long for you to cover it, and the listening audience will have the fullness of it afterwards. But just as you said, even going back from the report from Iron Mountain, back in the 60s, they were talking about replacing war and the possibilities of stopping war, and how they could not allow that to come into place or into being, because, well, a war served a purpose of culling the masses. And then they decided to and talked about implementing and putting poisons in the food, the water, the aerosol injections into the air, in the and the snake bites and all the inoculations, everything, all the things that we're seeing playing out and which are endangering people's lives every day. These things are put into place now, and so the, the importance. Yahuwah told us that my people are killed for lack of knowledge. It's so very true. This is an information war, and your lives are at risk. And as believers, the conspiracies are not theories, they are very much realities.
Yes.
And unless you come to that understanding, you're never going to be able to understand the fullness of what we are contending with in this war. And as we said, this is a bloodline war, and these Illuminati families, they are of their father, the devil. They
Yes.
are a den of vipers. They are these supernatural powers, principalities, the rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. They are the one, the eye on the top of the Illuminati pyramid, encoded onto the currency, the American currency, that is used against you. And then you have to pay down the debt on what's being loaned to our governments at interest. I mean, it's insanity, the Ponzi scheme that they've been able to pull off. But this is also why scriptures tells us that unless the days be shortened, there should be no flesh left. And the days will be shortened for the elect's sake. And so, but in the meantime, we have to do what we can to sound the alarm, to blow the trumpet, to warn people, to give them an opportunity, a chance to stand themselves up in on the side and to fight in allegiance for the word and the truth of the gospel, and also that salvation is assured through our Messiah. We win in the end, but this is going to be an ugly situation going forward.
Yes.
And yeah, and I thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward to continuing these shows. I definitely wanted to shout out to Rin. Love you, sister, and appreciate you coming in and supporting the broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, guys, don't go. Sen has to go for the important appointment, but we're going to stay for 30 minutes. I want to show you something very, very strong. Yeah. Okay, Sen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We know you have to take off now. And yes, we cannot wait. We cannot wait to go through your book and to share it with the people. Guys, don't go for a New Year's Day walk and come back and watch Days of Our Life. Gird yourself. Gird yourself for the impending danger that's approaching. Zen Garcia, we want to thank you and your team that came in and supported this. And we can't wait till next time, Zen.
Next month, next Monday.
Yeah, my great honor. Thank you again, and be blessed.
Thank
you, Zen. It's our honor. Thank you. It's our honor completely to have you here and starting this collaboration. You
Likewise,
take care.
mine as well. We're all learning from each other.
We are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good night.
Stay with us, people. Okay, Zen.
You take care, Zen.
You too. Be blessed all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, stay with us, people. Jesse, I want you to bring out the deagle.com video for the people. We got to know how they're going to do it. You heard Zen talk about how they're going to do it. Okay, war, snakebite, poisons, chemtrails, Monsanto. Go through the whole list. We just read the list here. Evian, Nestle's, Nabisco, Chicago, Seattle, so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. Evian. Okay, it's everywhere. Okay. If they worship Gaia, as Jesse gets this video ready, if they worship Gaia, guys, how can they just drop nuclear bomb after nuclear bomb? They worship Gaia. How can they destroy their Mother Earth? it won't only be war. It will be a war within us, a war within the herd, a war within the people. It will be something inside us will do it to keep their Gaia, to keep their Mother Earth sacred for them. That's what they want. They want a world without Yahuwah, a world without the herd, and certainly a world without the true believer. That's what they want, and that's what they set out to get. That's their number one command, and they're in power, but it's Yahuwah in control. I know what side of the fence that I want my family to sit on. AC/DC says it in the song, if God's on the left, well, I'm sticking to the right. Okay, that's what they sing in Highway to Hell. If God's on the left, I'm sticking to the right. I went to school with AC/DC. Very naughty boys. Very naughty boys. Okay, no. If God's on the left, that's where we're sticking.
Right.
That's the side of the fence that we want to be on. Not the other side. Not the other side. For that, their days are numbered. Our days are eternal. Jesse, Deagle.com. It's going to run, guys. You're never going to hear something more important than this and what you heard before about the Pentagon. Pay attention. 4 minutes.
When you're first waking up to the reality that modern history is defined by social programming and psychological conditioning and strategized and well-executed agendas that are motivated by occult spiritualism, more so than it is.
Back at the beginning,
Sorry.
Jess.
Yeah, I just realized. Sorry.
Take it back. That's where we ended.
So as I record this, it's kind of crazy for me to consider just how many of you watching this video might not already be familiar with the information that I'm about to present. Because in the time that I was waking up, as we like to say, and researching this information, which goes back just over a decade, this was kind of like common knowledge. But I've been shopping it around recently, and a lot of people haven't heard of this. And what I'm talking about is Deagle.com. Now, Deagle.com, as the story goes, is a website that has been long since verified as an intelligence operation, a legitimate intelligence operation that's resourced by different governments and militaries. And it seems to specialize in information regarding like Air Force stuff and military aerospace and fighter jets and all types of things like that that are way outside of my area of expertise. All right, now what makes this website so famous to truthers or people in the know, or maybe I should say infamous, is something that they refer to as their forecasts. And I guess what they do is just, take a bunch of mathematical statistics from all types of political and mundane areas of everyday life and just all this metadata, and they crunch these numbers and they come up with forecasts for the world for every major country. And when I say forecast, I'm talking about like population growth, population density, GDP, resources, stuff like this. And somebody years ago brought it to everyone's attention to go to Deagle.com and look up their projections for the year 2025, that you will notice something really shocking and pretty scary. Let's just look at it together so you can see for yourself. Okay, so if you look here, you see United States of America. This last projection is year 2017. Population is 327 million. And now I think we're still right around there. I think we're maybe at 328 million now or something like that. And some of these, density is 34 inhabitants per square mile. The gross domestic product is 19 trillion. GDP per capita 59. Budget is 6 trillion. Okay. And now you scroll over to forecast for 2025 and look at this. The population is now at 100 million. From 327 million in 2017 to only 100 million in 2025. So you're talking about a third of the population. I'm sorry, you're talking about 2/3 of the population disappearing. And I say disappearing because, I think the first thing that comes to mind for us is some type of mass genocide or something. But without any further information, all we are seeing here is that the population is expected to decrease by 2/3. And look at some of these other numbers too. The GDP goes from 19 trillion in 2017 to only 2.4 trillion in 2025. And all these stats are really scary. I mean, the military budget goes from $637 billion to merely $32 billion. Now, again, I know for a lot of you, I'm not bringing any new information to the table with this one, but I haven't seen any revisit this topic for a while. And I think with everything that we're going through right now in 2020, it is pretty timely, and it's pretty interesting to consider the timeline of what's happening right now with the projections of how this might play out over the next 5 years. And then you consider, we've been hearing about this Deagle.com report for years now. I'm talking, I first became privy to this in, I think, 2013. And at that time, it was already kind of old news. You know, so it must have been about a decade now that these numbers have been out there. Maybe even longer, but at least dating back to 2013 or so. And one more thing on the topic of these forecasts. There's only one country that seems to be severely affected by this drastic population reduction, and that's the United States of America. So for my fellow American citizens, hold on and buckle up, because there's some people in high places that are anticipating some really dark days in our near future. So sit back and try to maintain whatever level of comfort that you can muster as we delve into this extremely uncomfortable depopulation.
Thank you, Jess. Okay, we want to thank Foreign World Films for that. We're going to go through the list for about 2 minutes, guys. He got one thing incorrect. It's not just the USA that's going to suffer. Okay, we'll go through the list here. I have the whole list. This was brought to my attention about 3 years ago. And I tell you, this life changed after seeing that. You got to know who Deagle.com. You will not find that information anymore. Okay, to find that Deagle.com, you had to go to the top scroll bar, the top right-hand corner scroll bar, and go to any country's projection 2025. Okay, they have removed that since this has come to light. Okay, you will not find this information anymore, but you still research, you still investigate. If you've got access to old areas where you can go into something 3 years ago, then do it yourself. Okay, look for the scroll bar, any country, and you can look at the country you belong to. You can see what the population was in 2017 and what the population will be in 2025, January the 1st. That's the end of 2024. That's 2 years' time from virtually today. They will complete what they have set out to do. And what have they set out to do? The number one command of Georgia Guidestone. 8 billion. This is how they're going to do it. Let's go through the countries. Okay, the first one you heard there, the only one you heard there was USA. USA loses 68% of the population, from 327 million down to 100 million by January the 1st, 2025. You must be screaming out the message, how? I won't know how people can talk about anything else. If someone told me that my country and my people are going to be genocide, that's all that will be on my mind for the rest of my life. How can you talk about other things? New Zealand loses 24% of the population by January the 1st, 2025. Australia, they go from 23 million in 2017 down to 15 million. Canada, 35 million 2017 down to 26 million. That's 32%. 1/3 of the population of Canada shall be gone within 2 years. How? We know how. Denmark, 32% of the population gone. Germany, from 80 million people down to 28 million people. That's 65% of the population lost by the start of 2025. Greece loses 25% of the population. Iceland loses 42% of their population. Ireland loses 72% of their population. We have a precious couple here, a Dutch couple living in Ireland who watch us all the time. Ireland loses 72% of the population. Israel loses 48% of population. UK, where we live, loses 77% of the population, from 63 million in 2017 down to 14 million. And again, the USA loses 68% of the population, from 327 million down to 100 million, or 99 million by New Year's Day 2025, 2 years' time. Now, here's the interesting thing. There are a couple of countries from all the countries in the world that actually gain population growth. India gains. China, they lose only 1%. To me, that's a gain. Indonesia gains. They will be the 3 slave nations for the elite. India, Indonesia, China. These will be the ones. Also Jordan, because Jordan survives and gains. And their gross domestic product, the GDP, goes up, up, up. They'll be the slave nations of the world. How can you talk about anything else, my people? Who's Deagle.com? It's only William Deagle, Bill Deagle, okay, who was the Secretary of the Air Force to Bill Clinton and then Hillary Clinton. Deagle.com is the top CIA, NSA, call it what you want to, okay, company that builds all the armaments for the USA and for the world. Okay. Secretary of the Air Force to the Clintons. That's who Deagle.com is. It's not a YT channel. Rulers of the world.
Yeah.
That's their projection for 2 years' time. So how they're going to do it, we showed you today. Inside the people and outside by war. Inside the people by the snake bite, outside by war. Down from the chemtrails, through the food Monsanto. They will lose their mind, the Illuminati secret covenant. We shall poison their food, poison their water. They shall lose their mind. We shall put mercury inside their mouths, inside the tooth. They shall lose their mind. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
James,
have you got anything there for Czech Republic? One of our viewers is from the Czech.
Yeah,
just wanting to see if you've got anything.
Yes, I did. Thank you, and thank you for that, Jess. Excellent. Yes, I have got one for the Czech Republic, but it is not written down just here, guys. I left it off out. I virtually know them all off by heart. Facebook user, please put your name there so I can call you by your name if you're comfortable with that.
They need to register, so they won't be able to.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Okay, I don't use 5G. I don't use EMF in any way because how it affects me. Okay, that's another subject for another day. Okay, it was, to the best of my memory, it was 8% of the population. It was 8 to 22% of the population. It wasn't low, but it wasn't moderately high to extremely high. 8 to 11 to 22%, and I think it's more around 8 to 11%. Thank you for asking that. What about South America, Maria? Yeah. Maria, guess what? Guess what? And guess what? Yeah. South America stays virtually unscathed.
Really?
Okay, they only lose something like 2 to 4% of their people, which indicates to me what they're after, Maria. What they're after are the, please excuse my language, they're after the white Christian nations of Europe. That's who they're going to attack. The white Christian nations of Europe and America. That's who they're after, New Zealand and Australia. That's who they want to get rid of, to bring about the seething energy of Lucifer. That's what Manly P. Hall talks about in his book. Who's Manly P. Hall? The high priest that has the tan throughout the 40s and 50s and 60s. In his book that all the Masons, all the initialists read and study and follow and are instructed to follow. They want to destroy, totally annihilate Christianity. Here is Albert Pike's 3 letters to Mancini. They wanted the third World War One, World War Two. You know it. World War Three between political Zionists. That's the bloodlines and Islam. Islam just is their boys. It's their boys. It's a big club, guys. You heard it the other night. It's a big club, and we're just not invited to it. Islam, Catholics, Presbyterian, denominations, secular, civil servants, doctors, nurses, police. It's a big club. We're just not invited into it. Come out of her. Come out of her. My people. My people. That's who Babylon is. It's a big club. They're Babylonian worshippers. South America, Maria, stays relatively unscathed. So it indicates to me that will be, again, a slave nation. There was one country in South America, and I believe it was Paraguay. Paraguay suffered. I hope you're not a Paraguay.
Well, they've got, how about Portugal? It's not Paraguay, though, is it?
Okay, yeah. Portugal and Spain is not good. Okay. To the best, I got all the figures written down, but I never wanted to take too long reading it, and I should have. 25% of the population from Portugal. Portugal is above Spain. Why is Portugal above Spain? The black nobility, the guy in charge of 13 monarch bloodlines, is ruled not by Queen Elizabeth, it's ruled by King Juan Carlos of Spain. He's above all the 13 black nobility, the monarchs, the Queen of Netherlands, Princess Beatrice, of Spain, of Portugal, even way over there in Brazil, of Finland. I think it's Finland or Denmark. You have a royal family there also. England and the UK. All the European monarchy. King Juan Carlos of Spain rules over them all. He sits at the highest level of the 13 families that we know of. Okay, and he wants his country for himself. Okay, Marvin and Kat sent me a fascinating email a few days ago. We won't go into it because it's too important to read about their cousin, 54 years old, born, if you remember, the 12th of June, 1968, that we talked about in the last presentation. The 12th of June, 1968. She was born then. Granddaughter of the Queen Victoria. Cousin to King Juan Carlos of Spain. Don't forget who that person is. She's a woman.
Well, the most important thing that you and Zen brought out, he actually said, let me see if I can find it. Conspiracies are not theories anymore. They are very much reality. And you both brought out about these bloodlines. And actually, I never thought of it from the point of marriages, how they intermarry. Well, I know that they intermarry, but actually how they've corrupted even that in order to do what they are doing. Things like that stand out. Sometimes it's a factor of the obvious eluding you until you hear it presented and you hear it and you see it differently and it makes sense. And everything that you're saying, it shows us that the world is a stage and that we're pawns in it. Everything that has been mentioned today, Babylon.
That's right, Jesse. That's right. At the end, Jess, at the end of Fallen World Films there, you saw, their logo, their ad, the last 30 seconds. You saw, what did you recognize there, guys? Okay, you saw Ground Zero. You saw the circle of Ground Zero. You saw the United Nations, exactly the same circle. That's what Fallen World Films were trying to show us. Now, what is that? What is Ground Zero? Round circle. They're all marching around it when the towers came down. And then United Nations, they all sit around that. Dr. Strange Club, Peter Sellers and Orson Welles, the movie from 1963, sitting around this circle, this circle, this circle. These are Vril worshippers. V-R-I-L-L. You've got to understand who Vril worshippers are. After World War II, they were Himmler. Himmler was the high priest of Hasatan. Hitler was taking instruction from his high priest, Himmler. They're called Vril worshippers. And once the war came to near the end, they were all moved over through, Operation Paperclip, over to the USA, where they just built NASA. NASA. Look at NASA's new logo, guys. NASA, with a funny red symbol through the middle that looks like a T. NATSA. It's just an anagram for Satan.
Yeah.
Hidden in plain sight.
Mm.
You just got to open your eyes and
Yeah.
see it. And all the real worshippers from Himmler's, they would meet in this dungeon. I have the pictures, but we can't show them today. They would all meet, all the the priest of the real worshippers of the Nazis would meet inside this dungeon around this circle altar that will send shivers through you. And these were the ones through Operation Paperclip that were just moved over to form NASA. Okay, with all their fallen angel technology. It will send shivers through you. That's why Ground Zero is like that. That's why United Nations is like that. It's just the altar. That's the word I was trying to find. Just the altar of the real worshippers and the high priests to Vril, Himmler and co. They are everywhere. Around 1961, Australia's most famous Prime Minister, Sir Robert Menzies, he was ordered by the CIA. He was ordered by them to take Australia's fair share of the real worshippers after World War II. Sorry, I said 61, way before, straight after World War II. He was ordered to take some from America and house them in Australia. And it was Sydney where they housed these Nazi Germans, these real worshippers, these Babylonian worshippers. And that was the downfall of Australia. From 1961, they came out around that time. They came out under orders from America to take our fair share of real worshippers, Nazi scientists, into Australia with new identities, new names, new homes, new families, new jobs. Let them just slip into the Sydney lifestyle. And that was the destruction and downfall of Australia, the country that I love and come from. All because the Babylonian worshippers entered and ruled it. And we can show you photo after photo that goes way back to when it was discovered in 1770, then 1780, Captain Cook, Captain Phillip, when they came out and landed on satanic ley lines at Botany Bay at Kurnell. We can show you obelisk right where the Opera House is now, obelisks that were destroyed in the early 18th century, showing you why Australia was discovered and who owns it. They are everywhere. Yeah, look at that. In Paddington, Sydney. Good work, Facebook user. 6:22 p.m. in Paddington, Sydney. Paddington's about half a mile outside of city centre. Beautiful Paddington. All the terrace houses going up. Boom, 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 boom. And just a stone's throw away from the city centre. Way down to Circular Quay to Sydney Harbour. What a beautiful place to work where I come from. I come from Sydney. What a beautiful place. My goodness. We have about 7 minutes left, guys. I want you to show you who are they? Who are they, Jesse? Who are they? Who are they? Where are they? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Everyone you think you know, everyone you think you trust, they're everywhere. Would you show President Johnson's wife video? 1 minute and 13 seconds long, guys. Hold on, Jesse. Get it ready. I want you to look at this. Lady Bird Johnson, all of America. Oh, what a sweet little lady the First Lady was. Okay, JFK's assassinator. Look at the photo on board the plane. Look at Air Force One photo when JFK was assassinated. When Lyndon Johnson looks over, he's sworn in. They bring a Bible on board Air Force One. They got the so-called casket of JFK in the hull, the so-called casket in the hull of the plane. And here's so-called Jackie O with so-called blood on her dress. Don't forget, guys, who one of the 13 families are that rule the world, the Kennedys. Don't ever forget that, no matter how you feel about them, how much you love them. Don't lose your common sense. These are bloodlines. And then as President Johnson is sworn in on the plane, there's a photo taken of him looking over his shoulder to the person who had the Bible doing the swearing in, giving the big wink and the big smile. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper, but we haven't got time. That's who these people are, guys. They're warring bloodlines. People that you went out and thought that you voted for. Lady Bird Johnson's funeral. She died at something like, someone would tell me, she died at something like 102, 103. They live forever. They're drinking something that we ain't got, guys. It's a big club, but we're not invited to it. They got some kind of energy drink. You know what I'm talking about? That keeps them going and keep them going. Now look at one thing only in this 1 minute and 13-second video. One thing inside the big cathedral at Lady Bird Johnson's funeral. Look at their hand signs that they all do, led by the 5 or 7 priests out the front. And then everyone in the crowd throws up this hand sign. Now, the only imagery I can get is very uncompressed and shaky. But look at nothing but the hand sign that they are throwing up. Okay, Jesse, would you put it on? Lady Bird Johnson's funeral. This is who they worship. That's right, Facebook users, Satan's horns. It's called the Pan, lowercase God.
Yeah.
The Pan, the horn God. The horned God. Now, they'll be quick to tell you there, once that was plucked out, they'll say, no, that's because Lady Bird Johnson was just a Texas Longhorn supporter, and that's their symbol. Yes, it is a Texas Longhorn symbol. Yeah, but that's not why they're all throwing it up. Every single one there is the elite. Every single one there, that funeral, is the invited elite, and they're showing you who they worship and who she worshipped and who her husband worshipped. It is the horn God.
Yeah.
Matty
says horn sign shown as Nazi. He's good with his comments, Matty.
Yeah, good work, Marvin. Good work, yeah.
Sorry, Marvin.
yeah.
His wife, confusing the names.
Yeah. And yeah, guys, we're gonna finish in 1 minute. Okay. 5,000% increase. You heard today, if you're from the USA, you heard today about what was he, a 24-year-old famous American gridiron player on live TV across all of America, is in critical condition, just drops on the floor, on the deck with a heart attack, cardiac arrest. And they're saying on the BBC, after he bumped into a player, he collapsed in critical condition with a heart attack. The BBC, there's no getting away from these guys. 5,000% increase in young people's death, from children up to under the age of 30. 5,000% increase, death by unknown causes. It's the #1 leading cause of death in Canada and Australia. Death by unknown causes, but we know what the cause is.
Yeah.
We know what's inside these people. These fit, strong, professional athletes who are dropping dead in front of us or fighting for their lives, like Shane Warne, the greatest cricketer ever lived. And this guy, Denmark, top soccer players in England, collapsing on the pitch. These are the fittest guys on the planet. Over and over and over. Do yourself a favor, guys. Go through the in memoriam for 2022 of all the actors that you know and read every single one that says death by unknown causes, death by unknown causes, death by cancer. Okay, one thing they love to pluck out, that's the media, is what did that actor die from, like Montgomery Clift, like Rock Hudson. What did that actor die from? They know what the actor died from. But here's all these actors in memoriam for 2022. Death by unknown causes. 5,000% increase in the strongest young men and women around the planet. Something's inside these people that's croaking them, taking their life. That's their agenda. That's their method. That's their number one command in the Georgia Guidestone. And that's what we're trying to present to you tonight. We're trying to blow the shofar of the impending danger. Not of past history, not of something way off in the future. It's here. Nearly everyone has made their choice. They've made their call. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm not going to pluck out some scripture that says it will save them. You heard Zen say, for my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And that's what we must increase within us, is our knowledge, our perception, our discernment, our recognition of the evil warring bloodlines that rule this world. We must know who they are, what they're doing, and when they're doing it. Go straight to the bottom line.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. They're all in it together. Daniel 3, verse 3. People will see you next time. We want to thank you for your wonderful input. Jesse, want to read one or two live chats before we go? And I want to thank the people for staying with us for this last half hour.
Okay, let's read Joyce. I'm literally reading it as they're coming through. They said a little hit caused her hair quiver. It took 9 minutes to get to his heart beating. This must be about the player. Now they say he's okay. He is on a vent, and they wonder if he will wake up. What hypocrisy. And Stuart actually put breaking news. I'm not sure if this is somebody else. Thanks, Joy. Stuart put Justin Buffalo Bills NFL player Damar Hillman is in critical condition after suffering cardiac arrest during the game. So is that the same?
Yeah, the same guy. Okay, Damien Hamlin. I tell you guys, the worst. If you got a loved one somewhere, you just got to know that we know our stuff. The worst place in the world for these people ever to be on is a ventilator, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's it. I just want to say thank you to all of you. You're so precious for joining us. Sue, you've had to care for your mum today, and you're still here watching the show, especially when the program was brought forward by a couple of hours so we could work with Zen and his diary that he had. Just want to thank you for working with us. Let you know that Fridays from now onwards, what we're going to do is we've changed it. We're doing the regular Tuesday programs, special broadcasts, which will be Dr. Stephen Pigeon, myself, Shane, and different guests. For the next 8 months, it's going to be Zen Garcia. As things develop this year, we have to see how that allows. So we've dropped the Friday broadcast so that we can work together as required and come up and do special broadcasts. So there's no more Friday programming, just the regular Tuesday at the normal time, 8 p.m. UK time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for you. You know, everything that we've heard you today, we can see is so paramount. It's true. It's real. It's not a conspiracy. We need to be like the watchmen, the true watchmen, and not those watchmen that stand on the wall and drink themselves into a slumber and say tomorrow is going to be greater than today. Let's eat, let's drink and be merry, but face the reality. And that is our duty, each and every one of us, to warn of impending danger, to sound that horn and never to let go, and to be that few as in the remnant, but that we stand and we have that voice, we have that strength, because we are not going to be chased around. We are not a pawn in their hands. We are ambassadors of Yahuwah, of the word, and that is what we stand on. And that is our power, and that is our authority. And that's how we bless you and we leave you today. God bless you all. You take care. You're so precious to all of us. And Dr. Pigeon should be back, permitting traveling arrangements next Tuesday. Take care. All the best.
blind man cross the road, trying to make the other side, baby. Ever seen a young girl growing old, trying to make herself a bride? So what becomes of you, my love?
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Pray that he's still out there somewhere.